everyone. You guys hear me okay? So one thing that Will Mitchell mentioned when he did his presentation this morning is that there is no simple process to finding a great product on Amazon and a great product to sell on Amazon. There's no one foolproof way to make sure that you have a product that's going to sell and sell well. And so one thing I kind of want to bring to your guys' attention with my presentation today is that there's a million different ways to skin the cat, and that try to look at outside and other business techniques that other people are doing outside of Amazon, and try to think of how you could use that in your Amazon business. Something that I tend to see a lot is that a lot of Amazon sellers tend to follow the leader, and it tends to be kind of an echo chamber where everyone agrees with everyone about everything, and that no one's really thinking that outside the box very often. And this is something that Scott Mitchell kind of mentioned too, that to think of this as more in business terms and not just kind of a little side project and like selling on Amazon just to get some extra pocket cash. Think of it more as you're building a business, you're building something for the future. And so my presentation today here is on the book Lean Startup. Has anybody here in the crowd read Lean Startup? It's a decent amount of people. Okay, so it's one example of how to sell products on Amazon, and this is using the Lean Startup mentality. So this is not the best way to do it, this is not the only way to do it, this is just one way to do it, and it's just kind of to open your guys' horizons to all the different possibilities of different ways to sell on Amazon. So first, let's break it down. What is lean? Again, show of hands. Is anybody here familiar with like lean manufacturing? So basically what lean manufacturing comes down to is it's a philosophy based on lean manufacturing. It's the streamlined production philosophy pioneered by Taiichi Ohno at Toyota, and it combines flow principles used by Henry Ford, and then it also combines the theory that you want to get rid of all waste. So running lean means you're constantly cutting and reducing non-essential parts of your company and pretty much getting rid of stuff that doesn't help you grow and doubling down on what works. And so the Lean Startup was written by Eric Ries in 2011. He had started many different startups and almost all of them failed. And he was kind of, after I think 5 or so startups, he kind of sat back and goes, they all seem to fail for different reasons, but there has to be some sort of common denominator with all of his different businesses. And so he came up with the Lean Startup mentality, and as soon as the book was released, it kind of took Silicon Valley by storm, and then from there, the rest of the business world kind of slowly followed. So basically, this is how the Lean Startup works in the most simple way possible. First, you come up with an idea, you build the product. Next, you launch the product to the customers, you measure all the analytics, you look at all the data, you try to learn from the data, and then you go back to the drawing board and then see how your new data that you learn from your customers can be applied to your new product that you're going to be selling on Amazon. And as you can see, it's a continuous cycle, and the faster you can get it moving, the faster your business is going to get growing, because you're going to get feedback as fast as possible, and then you're going to be able to launch your products as fast as possible. So I'm going to break down this whole circle and break down each one of these parts in terms of selling on Amazon. So first is the ideas. Everyone has kind of the same qualifications when they're looking for products to sell on Amazon. One of the main things people like to look for is no to minimal electronics. Another thing people like is usually smaller than a shoebox, usually minimal moving parts, and these are all things to kind of avoid problems down the line. Some things that I always like to look for, I like to look for a low competition niche. I like it when there's not enough products to fill out the first page for a specific search term, because then I know I can launch a product, get a few reviews, and be on the first page immediately. So I really like the low competition niches. It's much easier. Me and Mark had mentioned this earlier, but it's a lot easier to sell 8 products for $1,000 each a month than to have one product that sells $8,000 a month. And so if you go after the lower competition niches, not only is it easier, but also it is something that's going to keep a lot of competitors away. And basically all these problems that we were just discussing up here with IP and all that stuff, and people jumping on your listings and stealing your trademarks is something you really don't have to worry about when you're selling 5 units a day. When you're selling 30, 40 units a day, it starts putting a target on your back. I'd rather go after a bunch of low competition ones opposed to one bigger competition one. And so one thing that Eric Ries claims in his book is despite what the approximate the causes for failures, the most important mistake that the company's vision that throughout all of his different companies is that their vision was too concrete. This is something I notice a lot with Amazon sellers is that they want to sell, say, workout equipment because they're really into working out. Well, the problem with that is that it's really hard for that to bleed through on your listing and really show through. Someone's not going to be scrolling through Amazon and say, wow, it looks like that guy really likes working out. That's not something that's going to go through a buyer's head. And so I really would like if people could not get so emotionally attached to their products and more sell things that are profitable and that you don't worry about pivoting in the future or changing your thing because you have no emotional attachment at all. And so that's kind of the ideas phase. It's the coming up with a product idea, finding a low competition niche, finding a product that has a decent price, and usually I get it from AliExpress because I can just launch it as fast as possible because like I was mentioning, you want to get that circle spinning as fast as possible. And so the next phase in the cycle of the lean startup is the build and product phase. And so this is where you've completed the ideas phase, you figured out what you kind of want to sell, now you go over to AliExpress and you find a few different samples of it. I usually like to order at least 20 units at a minimum. If you order 5 samples, it can be kind of deceiving if you say you sell 5 samples the first day. You're not sure if you just got lucky or if you would have sold 50 samples that day. It's really hard to kind of gauge. So if you order 20 units, it usually gives you some sort of gauge of what the actual demand is. One thing I also look for in products is, real quick, is usually these AliExpress products, they can be bought for anywhere from $1 to $4, and they sell anywhere from $20 to $30. And so there's plenty of profit to be made there, and it's very easy to test 20 units very quickly without any risk because you buy 20 units at $2 and you're selling them for $20 a unit. You only have to sell a few units to get your money back, and you can just liquidate or destroy the rest if you don't think the niche is worth your time. And so you get the product from AliExpress, you build the product, and you send it into Amazon as fast as possible. As I stated up there, my personal record is 10 days from hitting buy now on AliExpress to being prime in stock at Amazon. And something I notice a lot, which is totally against the lean startup mentality, is that people like to do months of research before they select their first product. And in the months of research, you are slowly but surely becoming attached to your product, because when you finally order your 10 samples, you have so much emotional connection because you've been looking at these analytics for months and months and months, and you're like, wow, this thing really needs to work, this thing really needs to sell well because I just spent the last 3 months making sure it works. When I source a product and it's in stock at Amazon in 10 days, I can care less if it doesn't work. Not only because I have very little skin in the game at $40, say, but I spent almost zero time talking to a supplier, negotiating with them, doing all of those kind of steps. And so it's a lot quicker, leaner process that keeps you from getting emotionally attached and keeps you moving forward. And the last thing, after you send your products into Amazon, I like to always turn on Amazon ads, and I turn them on what I call semi-auto, where you go into the Amazon ads, you select that you want to manually select the keywords. They will give you a list of keywords to choose from, and then I usually select the best ones. And so an example of how to do that and optimize your ads the best would be with, say, a dog leash, for example. You wouldn't want to go after the keyword dog leash. It's going to be way too competitive. But if yours is a camouflage dog leash, you want to go after the keyword camouflage dog leash, hunting dog leash, all those kind of keywords, because that's going to be the stuff people are searching. The dog leash, they're probably not even going to want your product if they're searching that broadly, and it's just expensive. So turn the Amazon ads on as soon as you get it, and sit back and wait 2 weeks on average. That's usually my time. It's 2 weeks, sit back, and then you start looking at the data. So Amazon does a good job of giving you a lot of the different sales data and all the different data out there. This data is taken from when you go into your Seller Central, you select underneath where it says how much you've made in the last 7, 15, and 30 days. And then you select on the left-hand side, sort by individual ASINs. And that will give you the information that I have here, where it says the sessions, the session percentages, how many page views there was, what the page view percentage was, the units ordered, what your conversion rate was, and how much you made overall. And so you look at all this data, and then you also look at all your ad data, and really go down and see what keywords are selling the best, what products selling the best, and then think about it psychologically. Why is this keyword selling the best? Is this a keyword that people search when they're looking to buy? Is this a keyword people search when they're looking to browse? And all those kind of things. And look at all the data that's out there, and this is all concrete data. No offense to any of the vendors out here, but a lot of these different softwares out there kind of have this data that you don't really know where it's coming from. They use different web crawlers, they use different techniques to get these different sales data or different metrics, but you're not really sure exactly where the metrics came from and how concrete they actually are. Something my brother and I did was we had a virtual assistant go through FBAtoolkit.com and compare what they said we sold to what we sold actually. And we noticed that FBA Toolkit was plus or minus 5 to 10 units off consistently. And so it's really hard for you to, and it's annoying if you sit there and you do 2 to 3 months of research on your product and all the data you're looking at is actually false. And so if you do kind of the lean startup technique, you know you can trust your data. If you can't trust Amazon's data, then you easily could get audited by the feds and you're screwed. And so you have to trust Amazon sales data, and that's the only data that I personally trust 100%. And so you look at all the data, and then after you've looked at all the data and you've made your decisions, then you can learn. Now, questions you ask yourself. What sold the best? What sold the worst? This would be an example of when I'd order maybe 5 to 10 different products from AliExpress and launch them all at once and just see what sticks. And so once you look at what sells the best and what sells the worst, why? Is it because of low competition in PPC? Is it because of low competition overall? Is it because you have the lowest price? Is it because you have the best quality? There's a million different reasons why you could be why the product could have sold good and why the product could have sold bad. And so you really need to break that down between the analytics and everything and really learn what products sell the best and what you need to do moving forward. Also, check out what the customer said about your product. Are they leaving kind of the same review over and over again? Hey, yeah, great sunglasses, but they don't fit my head that well. Or, yeah, great sunglasses, but this part broke after 3 weeks. Are they kind of leaving the same feedback over and over again? Because from there, you can take their feedback, and when you go to actually private label the product, you can make all those adjustments. And so look at what the competition is like, and then what can I do better next time? And once you figure out what you can do better next time, then you are ready for the actual private labeling process. You've gone through, you've ordered the product, you've tested the market, you've seen that demand is there, you've seen what adjustments people would like if they had the choice, and now you can actually move forward private labeling the product. And so instead of the other usual case where you'd spend the first month looking at the different analytics and all the different softwares out there and Jungle Scout and all that stuff, in the first month this way, 10 days in, you have your product in stock. 2 weeks later, you know if it's a winner or a loser. And then you can make your decision from there if you want to private label it or not. And you have an actual concrete decision that you can feel comfortable about, opposed to the kind of uneasiness of ordering, say, a couple hundred products from Alibaba and not knowing if the demand's really there, if it's really going to sell. And so it's a quick way to kind of test the market quick, private label it from there, and then the next step after private labeling, if the private labeling is doing great, the next step would be to take your brand and build its own standalone e-commerce site. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. Amazon is a great way to test the market and make a ton of cash, but it's not the best place to build a sustainable business. Like they were mentioning earlier, they can change the terms of service every 30 days. And we are at the whim of whatever Amazon does. And so it makes me comfortable, and it makes a lot more people comfortable to slowly but surely start trying to trickle your customers off of Amazon onto your own sales platform, capturing their emails and doing all of that stuff. Because say in 7 to 10 years, if Amazon says no more third-party sellers, you have a 7 to 10-year-old e-commerce site that's established, has emails, and everything's ready to go. And so that is the lean startup cycle. It's got the idea, you come up with the product, you order the product, you test the product, you measure the data, and then you make all of your decisions from there. It's kind of a complicated process, and it's a little bit outside of what a lot of people are teaching, and so I'm going to open up the last 10 minutes or so to Q&A if anybody has any questions about this or would love to poke any holes in this theory. Oh, and Will and Kyle need to go grab some microphones real quick. I should have warned them. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm just wondering, I don't know if everyone can hear.
I'll repeat it if they can.
Okay. I'm wondering, number one, are these often products that you're piggybacking or not piggybacking?
No. So the main way I do it is, and this is what I've found has been the most successful so far, is that I don't piggyback because it doesn't really show you your actual demand. You're seeing someone else's demand. You're not seeing what your own is, and you are only beating them in the buy box, most likely through price. And so that's not really a sustainable model. And so what I would do is create a listing, make up whatever private label brand you want on that listing for the AliExpress sample. The AliExpress product does not need to have a logo on it for it to have a brand name in the title. And so you launch that AliExpress item, and then say you're selling 5 units a day. And you're like, okay, this is doing pretty well. I'm going to move forward with this because if people like it unbranded, they're only going to like it if it's nicer and branded. And so from there, I would continue ordering from AliExpress and flipping AliExpress items at small quantities, say 50 to 100 at a time, while I go through the 1 to 2 month process of negotiating with Alibaba suppliers. And so this way, it's a good way to take care of that kind of downtime as an Amazon seller. A lot of you guys probably know about how much it is of hurry up and wait. And there's a lot of downtime in between everything. And so this way, you sell your AliExpress items, and then once you finally get your private label product from Alibaba, and you're about to send it into Amazon, you re-upload the photos of the new branded product. You wait till your AliExpress inventory runs out of stock, and then you send in your new branded private label product on a listing that already has sales data and already has reviews. And it's kind of an easy way to launch your product and already have all of the ducks in a row ahead of time.
Yeah, my question is around this fear factor I keep hearing about Amazon potentially hurting a business down the line if you invest a lot of energy and put all your eggs in one basket. Is there something that happened in the past that's caused this fear factor? Is there some examples of that? Because I constantly am hearing, and I don't have a business yet. I'm in this kind of startup phase. For the past hour and a half, I've been scared to death by all the stuff I'm hearing. So if you could help me there, it'd be great.
Well, show of hands, has anyone here read The Everything Store? Oh man, it's a very good. It's like the only authorized Jeff Bezos biography. It's very legit, but something that he explains in the book, which I'm very surprised you guys have read Lean Startup a bunch, but not The Everything Store. But what he explains is that he wanted Amazon to be the everything store, and he wanted every single SKU possible on Amazon.com. What he realized is that Amazon would need billions and billions of dollars to be able to stock every single product that's possible. And so they thought it would be much more worth their time and much more valuable to the customer if they made it as easy as possible for third-party sellers to sell on Amazon. And so that's why they created the Fulfillment by Amazon program, is because they wanted to make it as easy as possible for sellers. And they go, what's annoying as an online seller? Well, returns, customer service, and shipping. Well, they're just going to handle those 3 things for us. And then from there, we can all grow our businesses and add 1 million SKUs to Amazon every week. And then from there, Amazon starts at the very top of the list and what's the highest sellers, and then works their way down, sourcing all the products themselves. And so I've seen it personally myself. Amazon's contacted me. I've sold to Amazon. I've sold millions of dollars to Amazon. I've sold $1 million on Amazon. They have no problem buying whatever we'll offer to them. They'll buy it off us, no questions asked. And so I can only assume that they're going to keep working their way down the list, and maybe 10 years from now, eventually they're selling 70 to 90% of the products are shipped and sold by Amazon, and then they finally just cut the cord and say no more anyone else.
Thank you. We've got time for a couple more questions here.
Would you ever take a product and put it out in 2 listings to try, make one listing different than the other? Same product, but you just push it a different way just to try an A/B kind of an idea?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's another thing with the Lean Startup is very into A/B testing. And so go back to the dog leash. If you try to sell a dog leash, you're going to have a lot of trouble because it's such high competition. You sell a dog leash for German Shepherds. Someone searches German Shepherd dog leash. They go, oh, someone has the perfect product for me. Well, I could sell that leash under the name of any large dog breed I want. And so I've done this before. I'll have one SKU that's maybe under 20 different listings and send in 5 units to each one of them and test and go, wow, people really love the Doberman ones. People really love the German Shepherd ones. People really hate the Husky ones. Okay, well, I'm just going to wait till the Husky ones run out of stock, delete that listing, and then double down on my other dog breeds. And so yes, for sure, I would all day, every day, if you have a product that could be multi-use, I would sell it as many different ways as possible. Why not?
Well, a quick question about packaging. How important do you think it is to have nice or branded packaging?
In the AliExpress phase, I'm not worried at all about packaging. No one sees the packaging until they already bought it. And so I'm not too worried about that. But then as you build a brand and as you're building your e-commerce site, you're building kind of an image of your company. And then that's where when you actually private label it, I would for sure try to get as nice a packaging as possible and really build a brand and build something that you could sell in the future. No one wants to buy some company of people selling generic crap in generic boxes. But if you have a real brand and a real logo and a real kind of culture to your company, that's something that people really like. And so that's something that I wouldn't think about right off the bat. But as you grow and as you sell more and more, keep looking at different ways on how you can add perceived value to your product. And if, like an example I have is my wooden sunglasses I sell. They come in a wooden case. The wooden case costs me an extra 30 cents a unit. The wooden case probably adds an extra $5 of perceived value. And so something like that it's very, you just always have to calculate what's going to be your ROI.
We have probably one more question. Anybody? It's always the farthest person.
Thanks, Will. Have you ever sold anything on the concept of they're buying the product that you're selling to get the thing that comes with it rather than the product itself? Have you ever sold a product that way with this lean idea?
Could you give a specific example?
You're not buying the tractor. You're buying that cool little thing that hooks on the back of the tractor that you can only get by buying the tractor.
Oh, no, I've never thought of it that way. There's not, like I was saying, the majority of the products I test are in the $1 to $3 range on AliExpress, and so there's not that many products like that. I'm not opposed at all to selling higher priced items. The higher priced items, the less competition there is, and so that's usually a pretty good plan if you have enough capital. But when I'm quickly testing products, it doesn't really fit with my MO to source expensive products because I'm putting too much skin in the game at that point.
Thanks so much, Will. Do you have any kind of final words or final pieces of advice or answers to questions that you think should have been asked?
Some final words would just be double down on whatever works for you. Just because someone else built a successful business one way does not mean it's going to work what's best for you. So this lean startup mentality, it may work great for some of you, but some of you are specialized in marketing, or some of you guys specialize in design, and you're really good at designing packaging and all that kind of stuff. And so just double down on what works best for you. I'm not a very detailed-oriented person. I like to just kind of spray and pray and just move as quickly as possible and just try to do as much as possible. And that's why this mentality works best for me, because I just like go, and figure out everything after the fact, opposed to doing all the research up front. And so do what kind of emphasizes your strengths the most, and that will benefit you the most as an Amazon seller.